Good evening. How's everybody doing? Let's see. Check the audio tonight. I should have a lot better audio tonight than I had last week.
Good evening.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks. Okay. Hey, everybody. How's it going? So glad you're here tonight. Let's see who all's in the chat. We got Scotty in from the chilly Pacific Northwest. That's a good one. I'm surprised. I haven't heard that one before, but yeah, in the Northwest. It's cold too here. It's 23 degrees currently, and it's supposed to get colder overnight, maybe down to in the single digits. Scotty says, finally, no more military showers. He contacted me a week and a half or so ago, something like that. I don't remember. It's been, a couple days, something like that. Time flies. But anyway, and asked me for some advice on troubleshooting a water heater, and I offhandedly mentioned that he might want to think about replacing his really old water heater, and he did. I suggested that he get the Girard GC2. That's the one I had in my Class A, and that's the one I intend to put in the truck camper. The beauty of that device, though, is it's endless hot water. I mean, they sip propane. Really good device. And to say thank you very much, he bought it through Amazon. I get a small commission. He paid the same price. And so thanks for your support, Scotty. I really do greatly appreciate that. Tim Myers is in. Gary D's in. There's some chat about shunts. We're going to talk about shunts for just a few minutes tonight, and I'll see if I can kind of educate you a little bit about how they work. Let's see. It looks like Vincent RV Life's in from the Atlantic Ocean coast of Florida. So nice to have you here. Bruce. That's Vincent. Bruce. Scotty wants to know if anybody had any experience setting up Zigbee alarm system in a fifth wheel, perhaps using Home Assistant but not connected to Wi-Fi. Yeah, I don't have any first-hand experience with that. Scotty, I don't know if anybody else does, but we'll throw it out there. George, a.k.a. Dad, listening to ABBA tonight from LaBelle. Tom's in. Got a request for some lobby music. Can't really do that, but okay. That'd be a nice idea. Gary says still snowing up on the rim in Arizona. Yeah, Flagstaff got drilled. Wow, they got a lot of snow. Tim says no cursing allowed. Yeah, rain in Tucson and Phoenix area. Been quite a bit of rain down there this winter. Tim says 60 degrees in Ohio. He knows that ain't going to last long. Yeah, there's some 0 degrees coming your way, Tim. Judy Kimbrough checking in. Hi, Judy. Robert Black's also in. So nice to see you tonight, Robert. Two Feathers is in, too. Great to see you here. How's Quartzite? Oh, hey. Jay's in. Square Body Truck Camper. Bought himself an old Mercedes 83 TD 300 that he's working on. I was teasing him a week or so ago that that car's older than he is. Plus some. So anyway, I wish I was not as old as that car. I'm older than that car, but not, well, yeah, by 23 years. Okay, so shut up and move on. Let's see. Eric Myers is in from windy, cold Arizona. Yeah, it's cold here. Tom says it's 45 and showers out there would be. And George has to brag that it's 63 degrees in Florida. Oh, Tu says her son Eric is present too. Hi, Eric. Nice to see you. Let me see if I can move this over here and still have good audio. Yeah, it looks good. It's in my face. All right, so we were chatting a little bit in the pre-show, if you will, about shunts. And a shunt is basically, well, here, let me just, let's see. I think I've got to do some reorganizing here. But I think I can play this for you. Yeah, okay, so let's do that. This is some graphics. These are some graphics that I did a while ago for a video I did on my solar system in my truck, or in the RV, in my Class A. Excuse me for just 1 second here. I've got something going on here. Okay, so what does a shunt do and why do we want one? Well, shunts are really popular and really the only way to measure how many electrons come and go out of your battery packs or battery. Essentially what they do is it's a big resistor, okay? And so, let's see, can you see my cursor here? Yeah. So the idea behind a shunt is that you have to route all of the negative connections to whatever battery you're going to be monitoring. We're going to assume that you're going to be monitoring your house batteries, okay? The house batteries, remember, provide the internal to your RV 12 volt and 110, okay? So if you have an inverter in your RV, then obviously that comes through from 12 volts DC. It's up to 110. So this device here is a shunt, and what it is it's a big resistor. And so you see the two big terminals here. Those are for your negative connections to your battery. Now, a shunt's really important if you want it to work properly and give you accurate information. Is everything that goes to your house batteries from the negative side has to go through the shunt, okay? And so usually the shunt is the first thing after the negative connection on your house batteries. And the way it works is this is a big resistor, but it's a very low resistance resistor, 1 mega ohm typically. And then what you do is you see these other two terminals here. Keep in mind that your basic electrical theory says when you pass a current through a resistor, that resistor is going to reduce the voltage by some amount. That's what resistors do. By knowing this, the capacity or the size of the resistor, in this case 1 mega ohm, and measuring the voltage across the two, you can calculate how much current is coming from the batteries and going out to whatever devices may be connected to your 12 volt DC systems inside. So let me just run this animation for you real quick. So yeah, this is a 4-terminal shunt. Sometimes they're called ribbon shunts. And passing a current through it, and by measuring the voltage on each side of it, you can tell how much current or how many electrons basically move from your batteries to the devices in your rig. It's really simple math. It's just V equals I over R, and you can calculate that. Now, what a smart shunt does, okay, this is just a dumb shunt, okay? I mean, in this configuration, hang on a second here. I'm going to pop back here real quick and go open a different picture I have here from that presentation I did. Sorry, hang on here a minute. That's not it. Sorry, I'm getting there. I'll get it here just a minute. I thought I had, there we go. So this would be a sample or an example of what I was what I'm calling a cheap shunt or a not smart shunt. Okay? Now the beauty of a shunt is it measures all of the energy going to and from the battery, and so it's a very accurate way to determine the battery status. Okay? This particular shunt, these are really inexpensive, and although it provides you all the information you really want to know, your voltage, the current, the power, because remember power is just voltage times current in watts, and then the energy in this particular case is, you know, showing in here 14 watt hours. Okay, all a smart shunt is a device that keeps track of that and provides you with some kind of an interface that you can access, typically through some kind of an app on your phone. I don't have my phone handy here, but I could show you an app that I used to use. Now, Victron has the smart shunts, and I heard saw a couple comments about smart shunts. And really all a smart shunt is just a device that keeps track of it and then provides you some kind of a graphic interface of what's going on. And I believe I have a sample of that. I think that is not it. Sorry. I did this right on the end of, right at the, you know, I was kind of trying to do this on the fly. And so I thought I had, here it is, I think. Okay, let me show you this real quick. Okay, so that's just a screenshot of the panel, one screen on the Victron Smart Shunt, the BMV 712 Smart Shunt. And so all you're seeing here is that this is a random number of days, 9 days apart. You can see here it's showing me how much of a yield I got off my solar panel. And I kept this one here because I remember this now that I'm looking at it. If you look at this day, my Pmax was the maximum amount of power I was getting off my roof, was 1,446 watts. And that day I harvested 8.7 kilowatt hours. And my battery min was 14.4, min was 14.2, max was 14.4. So all a smart shunt does is provide you with an interface that allows you to easily see and track how many electrons have come and gone from your battery. Now I like to think of it, your batteries, like a big bank account. And as a bank account, you put electrons in by charging the batteries, and you withdraw electrons by using them in lighting and converting it to 110 and so on and so forth. And so the smart shunt, or a shunt, will help you keep track of the balance, okay, how many electrons are in your battery. I hope that makes sense. If there are other questions or you want further detail on that, go ahead and put it in the comments there. And let me just run back here. I saw a few coming in. Dorothy, yes, I do have a link for the water heater. Hang on a second here. I will pull this up real quick for you. And the nice thing about it is that the Girard GC2, and there's others, but I always tend to hang on here, I'm looking it up for you real quick. I always try to recommend things that I personally have used and appreciate and like, and I will recommend it to you because I know that it'll work for you. The thing about it is, and Scotty can probably help say that. Now here's the link on Amazon to the Girard GC2 water heater. Okay. But they're plug and play, basically. There may be a little bit of fudging you have to do, but typically it's plug and play. And it's really easy to put in. Just about anybody can do it. You do end up oftentimes have to buy a new door because the outlet, the exhaust outlet on the Girard, I guess I could show you a picture of it here just a minute. Hang on here, go back to this. This is the Girard GC2. I know it doesn't look like much. But you see how this outlet here is round? And typically on a lot of RVs, the water heater door will have some kind of a square outlet in it. And so it's not going to work. So by the time you buy the water heater and the door, you're probably into it for about $625, $650, which is going to be what a tank water heater costs nowadays too. A good one. Yeah, you can spend a little less money, but you can't get a better unit, mostly because of the unlimited hot water. I mean, literally no more Navy showers, no more military showers, okay? As Scotty called them, and I would totally agree with that. So, yeah, that is the Girard GC2. And so hopefully that helps you out, Dorothy. You can click on that link. It'll take you over to Amazon. Let's see here. Oh, Two Feathers said they went up to Lake Havasu for the Balloon Festival. Oh, that's cool. Robert Black, update on Mr. Furnace from last week. Ran a new 12-volt feed wire, and that fixed it. Okay, ran the wire from the same fuse block, but had to leave the old wire there too as it powers the thermostat. Yeah, so it sounds to me like something got wonky on that one, Robert. So good job. I'm glad to hear it worked out for you. Just as a note, on my channel, to keep the spam and the BS down to a minimum, I have set up some filtering so only myself and Tim Myers, who is a moderator on the chat and on the live stream, can post links. Okay, that's links to the things on the web. It just cuts down on the crap that you see on comments. It cuts down on the people trying to get you to go to their porn sites and all that nonsense. And so what I'd recommend is if there is a link that you want me to share, you can mail that to me, trbolin@gmail.com. That's TRBOWLIN@gmail.com. And then I'll share it. I can monitor my email right now and those sorts of things. So, yeah. But that's why you can't post URLs or links. Robert says, old wire had a crimp connection, get loose and burnt. Yeah, that can happen. Kevin Coop says he has a 100 amp one installed on his RV shunt we were talking about and works great. Yeah, they're super handy. I mean, to get the best view of your battery status, the only way to do it is a shunt. For years, I managed my batteries through just estimating by looking at the voltage of the battery, and that's sometimes close enough. When you get out, when you're boondocking, when you're dry camping or whatever, you want a little better visibility on your battery status, and that shunt is the way to go. John Besmick's checking in. Hi, John. Haven't seen you for a while. So nice to see you in Michigan. I thought you were going to, was it Missouri? Huh. Maybe that wasn't you. But I thought there was one of our viewers from up there in Michigan I thought was moving to Missouri. Robert, Scotty was commenting back to Robert. He had the same issue with the bad crimp on his water heater, and they can be hard to find. Yes, they can. Square Body Truck Camper says that voltage meter on the shunt must be pretty accurate. I would assume 1 mega ohm does not lower the voltage much at all. No, it does not. In fact, it lowers it very small amount. If you want to see a more detailed discussion on that, hang on a second here. I'll post the video. Actually, I think it's a pretty cool video. I thought it was probably one of my better videos. Hang on here, but I'm pretty sure it was in my solar. I think it was in the solar panel install video that I published clear back in 2018. Let me grab that. And then I might be able to dig up here if I get a second. I actually had some other graphics that demonstrated the shunts and the math in it. But you're right, Jay, Square Body. Uh, the voltage difference is very, very minimal, but it's enough to tell how many electrons are moving across that shunt. Let me go back in here and see if I actually have that graphic handy. Oh, here's a decent one of my installed shunt. Let me pause this for you here real quick and come back over here. And so here's how I had my shunt set up. This actual cable here is coming from my solar panels, and this is from the rest of the negative in the chassis in the coach, and then this side goes out to the batteries themselves. And you like the way I patched that container there? It had a hole in it, and the only thing I could find that would work was an old license plate, so I used an old license plate. Okay, so let me run back over here real quick. I think I might have that graphic handy. Give me just 1 second here. If I have it, it's starting to look like it's not going to show up. But yeah, if you go out and watch the video I posted in there about for the RV, the solar install I did, I have a real good discussion on the math around how the shunts work and that kind of stuff. So you might check that out if you're interested at all. But yeah, the voltage drop is very minimal, but it's enough to yeah, you have to have a meter that is quite accurate. That is a good point, Jay. Okay, let's see, Scotty. He has 2 of those, one for each side of the 50 amp service. Interesting. Tom Mack asks, am I in my RV or at home? I'm at home. Tom? That's a clever one. Yeah, Robert says, a shunt is something you shan't do without keeping up with your batteries. Yeah, that's, and Tom says smart shunt gives us the ability to see the amount of average flowing through the resistor. Yeah, totally. Victron does make a smart shunt that's designed for wet, damp locations with an IP65 rating. For those that don't know, IP65 is intrusion prevention, and what it is a measure of how water resistant, notice I didn't say waterproof, how water resistant a device is, and IP65 is pretty high. Tom Mack asks, how many batteries do you need for a small RV? It has the capability for solar panels. Okay, well, it really depends on your lifestyle and how much you boondock, dry camp, and how much solar you have. The short answer is, in my Class A, I had 4 100 amp hour lithium batteries, and with my solar setup, I boondocked 114 days in 2019, and I ran my generator for 9 hours. 4 of those hours were exercise hours. So remember, to keep your generator working reliably, it is uber important to exercise it, to run it regularly, even when it's in storage. In fact, the biggest killer of generators is not running them. I know it seems kind of counterintuitive, but a device like a generator really is built to run, and to run for extended periods of time. I know that I was up on the Blue Ridge Parkway contracting. This is back in 2013, I think it was. And I got stuck in a freezing rain and snowstorm up there while I was parked. And we lost power for 3 days, and I ran the generator in my Class A for 3 straight days without not one glitch. So, to sort of answer your question, in a small RV, 2 100 amp hour lithiums is probably more than enough, Tom. Now, why do I keep saying lithium versus lead acid? Lithium prices have come down considerably, okay? When I bought the batteries for my Class A, You know, I bought 4 Battleborns, and those guys were $900 a piece when I bought them. And that shows you an example of the install I did in my RV. Now you can get decent ones. SOK, we've talked about SOK batteries on the channel. And they're really good, Korean made. And you can get 100 amp hours in that type of battery for $300 or $400. Yeah, they're still more expensive than lead acid. But keep in mind, when you use lead acid batteries, you really only get one half the capacity listed on the battery. So if the battery says it's 100 amp hours, you're only going to get 50 amp hours. Because of the way that you use those batteries, you should never draw them below half capacity, which is a rough number, 12 volts. 11.6, that's pretty low, but 12 volts is about as low as you want to draw a lead acid battery before you start to damage it. The advantage of lithium is that you can draw them down to basically the low cutoff voltage, which is right around 10 volts on most of the lithium batteries. And so you're getting twice the energy out of the same space. Okay, so if you can swing it, I would go with 200 amp hour lithiums. That's probably what, and they're going to be the batteries they have now are a perfect replacement size wise, and so you should be able to take your lead acids out and put lithiums in with no troubles whatsoever, and you'll be a lot happier and they'll last a lot longer. So I hope that answered your question. If it didn't, just ask another one. Scott W., hey buddy, so nice to see you here. Glad you could make it. Tom Downey says he has 4 200 amp lithium batteries. Yeah, that's a lot of power. You could boondock for a long time with that kind of power. Gary has 400s, yeah. Scotty says, I replaced my 12-gallon Suburban with the Girard, and all you do is rivet the door onto it and slide it in the same home and the same plumbing connections. Yeah, same plumbing, same electrical. So, yeah. Tom says they gave me 4 to 5 days before I must recharge. Yeah, I had about 2.5 days of no sun before I had to recharge on mine. And Scotty says, same hole size. Yeah, it's a plug-and-play fit. There's nothing too much rocket science about replacing the water heater on your RV, especially with like the Girard. The only other thing I would mention is that you do want to use some what they call butyl tape. All right. And so that's this stuff here. Let me see if I can get a decent picture of it. There we go. For you. Come on. So you do want to take some butyl tape and run it around the perimeter of the opening underneath the flange of the water heater. And that is to keep water out. And so the butyl tape is a must when you're replacing that. Never really want to use silicone if you can avoid it, but the Dicor butyl tape is the bomb. That works really good. Let me jump over here again. Harry Brown Eye says, don't forget that thumbs up, and that's a reminder, it's half past, and I usually do the cheap plug and commercial at this time. Yeah, please do give me that thumbs up. I really do appreciate that. It helps get the video ranked up. More people get to see it. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, ring that notification bell. A lot of videos to come. I'm in the process of updating 3 of my most popular videos right now. I'll be looking for an update to the BioGeo method, my method for maintaining your RV's holding tanks. I'm also working on the alternator charging your RV's house batteries. If your RV doesn't have alternator charging, I'm working on a video to teach you how to do that. And then actually I've been working on a couple other videos. I'd like to mix it up. I mean, I'm kind of been in a rut doing mostly truck camper restoration videos. But I've been working on my sewing machine. I've got a video coming on that. Yes, I have a sewing machine. Why do I have a sewing machine? It's a long story. Tune in another day for the story. And then, of course, a visit to my website, trbolin.com, is always helpful. You can support the channel by visiting my Amazon store or visiting Amazon through the links in the video description. And you don't have to buy anything through my store, but if you'll enter Amazon through the link in the video description, then you can go buy whatever you'd like. I'll get a very small commission. You'll pay the same price. And it really does help the channel in the long run. Oh, it looks like we're getting a cameo from the dog. Anyway, and then that's it. Thanks so much for your support. Back to the comments here. Tim says he's installing one even though he only has 3 lead acid batteries. Why not, Tim? I mean, put it in now. Yeah, just do it now. You'll have all the cabling and everything done, so when you do upgrade those batteries like we were chatting about a while back, it'll already be in place. Montana boy's in from Montana. Surprise, surprise. Jeff checking in. Hi, Jeff. So nice to have you here. Tom says he soldered all his cable connections. Yeah, you know, Tom, I actually have some really cool footage. I've never published it, but showing the difference between a crimped and a soldered connection on my inverter. Maybe I'll dig that up one of these days and share it with folks, but that does make a difference. Oh, John says he's headed to Florida, just hasn't made it. Cool. Robert Black, can I add 200 amp hour battery to 2 100 amp hour batteries? Same manufacturer. I'll be running them in parallel. 12 volts there, lithium. Absolutely. No problem. But you're going to parallel the 2 100 amp hour batteries with the 200 amp hour battery. Okay? So when you're paralleling those, the 2 100 amp hour batteries, you parallel those together, all right? And then parallel it over to the 200 amp hour battery, and that way it'll look like a 400 amp hour battery pack. But yes, you can absolutely mix those as long as there's the same voltage. The only time you really can't mix batteries is if there's different voltages, but 12 volts is 12 volts. You should be able to mix them. You should be able to mix different manufacturers too. It shouldn't make any difference. Montana boy says, got a problem here. My latch on the Dometic refrigerator, not sure the year of the unit, but the RV is 93 bounder. Last week my door latch also broken on the bounder. Where can I get the part? What model Dometic is it? Because I might have one that you can have. When I took out my Dometic, I had the 1200. I kept the hinges, and I believe I kept the latches, but I definitely know I kept the hinges. On the latches, they can be hard to find, particularly in an older one, but let me know what model that is, if you happen to know what model you have, and we'll see if we can run those down for you. Good night, Jay. Appreciate you coming in. Have a good night. All right, let's see here. Tim Meyer says he should match and be of the same age. Yes and no, Tim. The theory behind that particular issue is the age difference is not as important as people want you to believe. Okay? The deal is that if they're within a year of each other, that's pretty good. The age difference in lead acid batteries is a bit more important, but in the lithiums, they're a little bit more flexible. The capacity itself really doesn't matter, because in parallel, the battery looks like, if he has two 100 amp hour batteries right now. The charging device, whatever it may be, that just looks like one big 200 amp hour battery to the charging device, whatever it might be. So paralleling another 200 amp hours on that is going to be make it look like a 400 amp hour battery pack, if you will. So it shouldn't cause that much trouble. Where you might get in trouble with the big difference in ages is when you get out of ways and the battery's gone through a number of cycles. But I can't think of, if you have a link to that paper, I'd like to read it because I can't think of anything. Just let me think here for just a second. Yeah, I really don't think of any reason other than, like I say, if they were wildly different ages. Let's say you had a battery pack that was 3 years old and you added a new battery to it. That's probably not a good idea. And it's particularly a bigger problem with lead acid than it is with lithiums. Yeah, Montana boy, I hear you there. $900. It was I saved for a whole year to get those batteries. It was good money spent. But as with all technologies, over time, the cost comes down for sure. Kevin Coop sent me a picture and link for his shunt. Okay, let's go take a quick look here and see if we got it. Yeah, we did. All right, let's see here. Hang on, I'll just wrap over here. Oh, that's interesting. He had me up on his screen when he. Okay, that's a good one. I actually have seen this one. Is this a smart? Does this have Wi-Fi built into it? Doesn't look like it. But I got to be honest with you. You don't really need Wi-Fi. It's super convenient if you have it, or if you have a smart meter. But go to that smart meter, you're spending a lot more money. Okay, back to the comments here, questions. Having a good discussion tonight. Montana Boy says, that is true on lead types. I have two deeps here. During the minus 20 degrees, they were struggling in voltage drops, even when I was plugged into AC. Yeah, keep in mind that heat and cold dramatically reduce particularly lead acid batteries' ability to provide current and absorb or be charged. And that's heat and cold are both equally bad in a battery pack, but cold particularly. I know that a lot of guys that try to do filming outside, in fact, when I've done winter photography, I will typically keep a battery in my pocket or someplace where I can keep it warm. Because, yeah, your battery's capacity is going to be greatly reduced at colder temperatures for sure. Scotty, that's a good question for Tom. Tom has 800 amp hours of lithiums or something like that. Yeah, he had 800 or what. And Tom's on Whidbey Island, by the way. And he says, you got all those batteries because there's no sun on his island. Yeah, on lithium batteries, the low voltage cutoff point can be as low as 10 volts. But on lead acid, 12, 11.6 is about as low as you want to go before you start causing damage. You really can't damage. Well, you can. I shouldn't say that. I'm going to move on and get my toe out of the soup. Let's see here. Gary, Scotty's from North Seattle. Oh, Gary D's from North Seattle. George, a.k.a. Dad, get your refrigerator door handle direct from Dometic. A little more expensive, but twice as beefy. Yeah, the problem is, George, Dometic has not been able to provide parts for their older fridges since the damn pandemic started. It's gotten really bad. So we might be able to come up with something for Montana boy. And I might have the door latches if it's a Norcold, Never Cold 1200. Kevin Coop says he was a Singer tech for a few years when I was going to college. Right on. It's a Singer sewing machine I've been working on. I have to replace the thread sensor and the I'm going to call it the drag, but they call it something else. Scotty asks, he's seen a lot of folks using the lever nut wire connectors. I like them and even use them on my new water heater. My thoughts. I don't know if I would use them in an RV. I've seen them used in RVs. I like the crimp style. I wish I had one here. I might have one of those. Let me look. No. Sorry, I don't have one over there. I thought I had a little crimp type. But yeah, hold on here. I'm going to go over here to one of my Amazon stores. Saying here, I'll pop this up. This actually happens to be my Amazon store. And I have like, let's see, I have, yeah, I think it's this one here. I like this style right here, personally, okay, of crimp. Scotty was talking about the lever type. I think they're fine. I don't know if I would personally use them in an RV, just because of the way RVs bounce around and move around. And I think, I don't know how Wagawago, I think is what those are called, or something like that. I don't know how durable they are, but you know, they're really popular, especially in like electrical connections. But yeah, I'm not sure, you know, if they're gonna, because keep in mind it's a rolling earthquake as your RV rolls down the road, and so for something like that lever to eventually work loose with the wire moving in and out, I can see I could see that being a problem. The biggest, I saw Scotty comment, the connector I showed is what the RV has and the second one's failed. That's because they've been over crimped. So you don't want to, you don't over crimp those, Scotty. If you just give them a good firm squeeze, that prevents any strain being put on the wire itself. But I don't know about those Wago nuts. Let me get back over here into the comments. Maybe somebody else has some thoughts about that. Oh yeah, Scotty says my poop tank video is how he found me. Interesting. Yeah, Montana boy, I agree. I would always solder before crimping if I can. I totally agree with that. He says even when he crimps the connector, he always solders them. No corrosion on a solder connection. Yeah, I would agree. I don't think it's a bad idea to use those Wago lever crimp nuts. Let's see here. Tom Downey says, Tim read about, okay, we chatted that one. Tom says, make me wonder how to make my two electrical systems into one. First system is 2 minus 12 volt DC engine starts and 2 14 DCs. Yeah, you know, I don't know if I'd want to combine those, because here's the deal. If you get out and you lose one battery pack in your Newmar, you have the battery boost switch, okay? and that gives you the, as you I'm sure well know, if your chassis batteries die, you can start your rig off the house batteries. If you got it all tied into one, uh, if it goes dead, you're dead. You're looking for somebody to come give you a jump. The second thing is I don't like the idea of mixing lead acid and lithium together because of your low battery cutoff points. If you have your lithium stack set to cut off at 10 volts and the whole system comes down to 10 volts, you're severely damaging those lead acid batteries. So I don't know if that would be such a good idea to have them all as one. The voltages don't bother me. Okay, the 12 volt engine starts are really 13.6 when they float, and your 14 volt lithiums when they float are 13.6. So the voltage difference doesn't bother me. It's the chemistry itself, it's the configuration, it's the protection stuff, and so on and so forth. That'd be the thing that would bother me. Okay, so Montana Boy says, Medic says the outer door LM2807. Thanks for looking. I also do have the RV door itself. It is a separate issue as the door latch is broken as well. Not a good week here. Yeah, when stuff starts to break, it just goes like that, doesn't it? Let's see. LM2807. Montana Boy, kick me an email real quick. trbowlin, BOWLIN, at gmail.com. And we'll take it offline. I'll check and see if I've got the latch and if the one I have will fit the LM2807. And if not, we'll see if we can find one for you. George A.K.A. Dad, on his 2004 Dutch Star, the original fridge, contacted Newmar, Dometic. And yeah, they may have it. You might be able to get a hold of Dometic and find the latch for that. I just know that I've talked to a couple of folks that have been trying to get older Dometic fridge parts, and they've just gotten really hard to come by. And Dometic's answer is it's well, everybody's answer for not being able to do stuff now is the damn pandemic, which, by the way, has been over for, well, I don't know, maybe I'm speaking out of class here, for at least a year. Oh, by the way, what do you think of my new glasses? I got these for computer work, and then I got these, which are bifocal for driving and reading. So anyway, by the way, not sponsored. I use Zenni.com for my glasses, and I got 3 pairs. Let's see, I got, well, a replacement for this pair, just like them. This pair and this pair, all 3 of them for just slightly over $200. It's a good buy. I've been using Zenni for years. I've been really happy with them. Not sponsored, by the way. Scotty says, I like the Wago lever nut connectors, but not sure how they would be for longevity in the 5th wheel. Totally agree with that one. No. Robert Black. Where'd I see that? I think if you run the batteries in series is where it matters. They would need to charge to the same voltage individually, connect them on series. That's what I think. I think you're right, Robert. But by the way, keep in mind that series is additive. Series is additive for volts. Parallel is additive for current. Okay? So when you serial 2 12-volt batteries together, you're going to get 24 volts at whatever the capacity is. So let's say they're 12-volt, 100 amp hour batteries. You series them together, you're going to get 24 volts, 100 amp hours. If you parallel them, you're going to get 12 volts, but 200 amp hours. Okay? So yeah, that's really easy to try to keep in mind. Kevin Coop says lithium batteries about to go sky high soon. Better buy them if you are thinking about it. Yeah. They've been talking about that for a while. Gary D says some inverters shut down at a specific voltage. Most inverters, that set point is selectable. That shutdown point. They call it the low battery cutoff point, LBCO. Low battery cutoff. And yeah, so that's tunable, and it's important to select that properly versus when you're running lithiums versus lead acid. Lead acid, again, I would go 12 volts, 11.6 as the lowest you would want to go on a lead acid. And then on lithiums, it's going to be battery specific, so your battery manufacturer is going to tell you what it is, usually around 10 volts. And then also a lithium battery, because of the battery management system that's built into the battery, will automatically cut it off when it gets to a certain point to prevent damage to the battery. True Course. Hi, True Course. You're new to the channel. We're happy to have you here. He says he's waiting for the RV fusion reactor to come out this summer. Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Unlimited power. Kind of like getting a tankless water heater, unlimited hot water. Tim Myers, his wife has upwards of 20 sewing machines, plus the big long arm machine. Wow. That's cool. Montana boy, rolling earthquake, laughing. Yeah, it is a rolling earthquake. Your RV going down the road is just like a rolling earthquake. Gary D says there is a vibration test video on YouTube for the Wago. Okay, good. And I'll run that down. But I want to make this point here. And I made this point to Project Farm. If you've been on YouTube, Project Farm, he's out there and he tests all kinds of stuff. He'll test different batteries. He'll test different drill bits. He'll test this and that. The thing about that, and I'll use his drill bit test, okay? He had 8 or 9 drill bits. He put them through the exact same test, ranking on them, drilling holes, blah, 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 blah. And so, and what he did was he drilled 1 or maybe 2 holes, all right? Any drill bit can drill 1 hole. I need a drill bit that's going to drill 100 holes, 1,000 holes. And I ran into this when I was doing the electrical work on my truck camper. I'm drilling holes to run wires through the framing in the roof, and if you hit anything that's solid, it dulls that bit, and you're done. And I was buying cheap bits. So the same with the Wago nut. Okay, they're going to put it through a vibration test. Are they going to put it through a vibration test for 15 years? Are they going to drag it down the road for 20, 30, 40, 50,000 miles? That kind of test on YouTube, in my opinion, is bunk. In my opinion. All right? Because it's not a real-world test. Yeah, it's going to last if you sit there and vibrate it for 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever the case it is. Drag that RV from here to Florida, from the west coast to the east coast and back. Okay? Where you have hundreds of driving hours, thousands of miles, you know, over crap roads. And like I said, it's a rolling earthquake. And so any of those tests that you see on YouTube, testing this or that, okay, it makes for great content. And Project Farm, he's got a great channel, and he's done some good tests. But yeah, that's a snapshot in time, and it's so small, it really doesn't reflect real world usage. And that's where I get wrapped around the axle, is that doesn't reflect real world usage. Tim Meyer says there's a lot of discussion of how crimps are better than soldering of connections. And I'm sorry, my BS meter pegs when I see that. Totally agree with you, Tim. In fact, that falls right into the same discussion we were just having with Wago nuts and this and that crap. All right? This is a 1-point slice of time. And then the other thing you have to ask yourself, and I always try to be careful about this, is that, do they have a vested interest? There's another RVer out there that does videos. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want to promote the guy. But he is nothing about selling you stuff from his Amazon store. And I watched him do a thing on autoformers and told everybody they needed an autoformer, which is nonsense. All the guy is doing is selling crap, monetizing stuff, and he doesn't know what he's talking about. And so I blocked him. I don't even view his channel anymore because of that kind of stuff. I hate that. I will never do that. I am so super careful about that. I don't do sponsored. When I do sponsored stuff, and it's very rare, I get sponsors. I could go to my email right now and show you 10 different sponsor offers. People want me to sell you this or that. And I stop and think about my audience. And my audience is you guys. It's guys like me and gals like you and me, with gray hair. And, I mean, not to say that, like Jay. And there's some young guys that come along, and I'm super happy to have the young, the younger crowd here. But I look at the demographics of my channel, and it's all older folks, and that's just fine. I'm happy to, help my fellow baby boomers. But yeah, that stuff, I'm with you, Tim. It really, you'll get my hackles going real fast if you show me too many of those. Bill in Arizona. Hi, William Courier. Bill in Arizona. He has a 2001 Tradeswinds that he was remodeling, was going to put in luxury vinyl floating floor. Any thoughts in floating or glue down? Well, I see floating floors used in a lot of RVs, and I think it's fine. So I think it could go either way and not have any trouble. I put essentially floating floor. I put bamboo in my Class A, and it was floating. I didn't glue it down, and very happy with it. It was very solid. Didn't move. So I think both are probably appropriate for your RV. I think that the floating floor, not gluing, is going to be so much easier to install, though. So that would be my take on it. I don't think you could go wrong using the floating floor. Easy Travels, hello. So nice to have you here tonight. How do we lubricate the cable pull handle for the valve on the Blackwater tank on an Elite D fifth wheel? It's stuck and I can't seem to close it. Any advice? Yeah, get some WD-40 or some penetrating oil. I personally prefer, oh, geez, I just pulled a blank. Come on. Help me out, guys. Penetrating oil. It's the same stuff. WD-40 works good. PB Blaster, that was what I was looking for. I had to go look it up. PB Blaster or WD-40 works, but PB Blaster would probably be a little better because it's actually better at breaking down rust. And on the PB Blaster, it's going to have the little red tube, right? The little spray tube. Spray that cable with some PB Blaster, and then wait a while, hit it again, wait a while, hit it again, wait a while. The thing I like about the PB Blaster is it will creep along the cable. In other words, it's a very good penetrating oil, and it's designed basically to creep along the cable, to seep in between the nuts and the threads and stuff like that. And so hit it, wait, hit it, wait, hit it, wait. You might have to hit it 3 or 4 times and then gently start to do it. Also, and sometimes you have to drop the belly pan for this, because it may not just be the cable, Bill. It might actually be the valve stem itself. So, and I don't know, since it's on a cable, the valve's probably buried up underneath. You may have to drop the belly pan and get in there and actually spray the stem of that valve with your PB Blaster. WD-40 works as well, but PB Blaster, penetrating oil of some sort, is going to be a much better than WD-40, in my opinion, because it's designed to creep and penetrate. And so that's what I would do, and that should get you going. If not, I do have a video on my channel about replacing the valves. It's not terribly difficult. Like I say, you have to drop the belly pan, which is probably the biggest pain in the butt. But yeah, you can replace those valves. They're fairly inexpensive. So I hope that helps. Easy Travels. Thanks for joining us tonight. Alrighty, let's see. I kind of had a jump here. Just a minute. Okay. Yeah, no worries, Montana boy. Send it when you can. We'll work on it offline. Thanks, Tim, for sending that out. Yeah, I got you, Tom. Eric Myers, easy. Just saw a video with your problem. It was toilet paper stuck in the valve. Yeah, that could be it too. Montana boy, 3777. Yeah, I just want to get my main cabin door latch repaired or replaced. Yeah, those. There are a couple companies out there that. Let's see, Montana boy, you're up in Missoula. There's a company. Hang on here for a minute. If you send me that email, there's a company. I think they're in Payette, Idaho, and they're building doors, RV doors. And somebody turned me on to them. Anyway, we'll work on that offline. Kick me that email when you get a chance. No rush. And we'll work on that offline. Scotty's responding. Oh, Gary. Scotty responded. Gary, just watched the Wago videos. Looked like they held up pretty well. Okay, so two feathers. We have a minor problem with the Norcold mid-size fridge not draining properly. Sometimes the tray freezes and does not drain through the drain hose. Take a little bit of hydrogen peroxide too, and pour it down that drain, because it's probably that drain's got a little bit of mold and it's probably just plugged up a little bit. That peroxide will just strip that mold right out of that drain line. Not a lot, just a couple, 3 or 4 tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide, the stuff you get in the in the grocery store or in your pharmacy, the 3% hydrogen peroxide. Let's see. Easy Travels. How would I get rid of it? Where is that video? If you know. Let's see. Probably a shout around back to Eric. Do you happen to remember where you saw that video, Eric? The one with the toilet paper stuck in the valve? Was that on YouTube? I'm assuming it probably was, but you know what assuming does, makes an ass out of you and me. Yeah, Scotty, just shoot that cable with some PB blaster and let it soak. Shoot it, soak it, shoot it, soak it. Remember, when you're soaking a rusted nut like that, repetition and time is your friend. Yeah, Eric, those valves, the way that they're built are typically not. You can't really take them apart and remove the. Well, I guess you kind of can. It depends on the manufacturer of the valve. In any case, it's going to be a crappy job. You just did cocoa for that cost. I don't follow, Tom. You mean like cocoa Gigio? I don't remember who that was. I do, but we're going to move on. Montana Boy says, I do electrical stuff, and I'm also curious about the Wago connectors. I would look up NEC book for online specs and hope they are rated as military standards for RV use. Yeah, I know you can use them in a home and they pass code. Okay, so they meet NEC code. And I don't know about in mobile situation on the Wago. I'm sure they would be fine. But It would not be my first choice in an RV. However, I don't think you would be in any big trouble. I don't know, I'm always really careful about electrical when I make recommendations on electrical. Those Wago nuts do have a pretty solid. I'm surprised I don't have one sitting here on my desk because I have actually used them. Um, Thanks, Scotty. I'll check that here in just a minute. Yeah, Eric Myers. Bits are like any tube. Buy the best you can afford. Buy it once. Totally agree, Eric. Montana Boy, he says he watches Project Farm. He does some great tests, oils, solvents, stuff like that. I totally agree. Totally agree. But when you're comparing something like drill bits or anything that are like consumable like that, I don't want a drill bit that drills 1 or 2 holes better than another drill bit. Okay, that's 18 seconds faster or whatever. I need a drill bit that drills for days. And in fact, does anybody have a good recommendation for a middle of the road quality bit set? I've been buying the DeWalt's and I've been really happy with them. But I bought a set last summer when I first started the truck camper, and I managed to dull them all before the end of summer. And so, if you have a good recommendation for a good quality, I don't want $1,000 drill set, but I wouldn't be opposed to spending $200 or $300. And then I also have a drill sharpener that I bought off an auction, and that's helped a lot too. But oh, Scotty sent a video. Okay, we'll check that. He says 30 seconds with 10 kilograms pulling on the wire. Okay, so that means they won't pull loose, by pulling on them. But what happens after they sit in your RV and bounce around for 3, 5, 10 years? That's the question I have. It's a cam lock, right? So you would think it would be pretty solid. Wow, it's 10 after 8. I didn't even realize that. We're having a good chat today. I'll keep rolling through the comments here, but I'm going to try to wrap her down here in just a few minutes. Tom Downey, drills, run them slow and use lubrication, totally. But when you're drilling wood, lubrication doesn't really work. And that's what I was drilling. I was drilling wood, and I think I hit a screw, and of course that. And if anybody tells me buy Harbor Freight drills, I'm going to disconnect you. Because I like Harbor Freight tools, don't get me wrong. In fact, I am going to make a video on my favorite Harbor Freight tools that are actually worth buying. Not that there aren't enough of those out there, the Den of Tools and some of those guys. But, don't buy anything that cuts or drills. Not the physical drill itself, but the actual bit. Saw blades, drill bits, they just don't have it. They're just too cheap. You'll get 1 or 2 holes out of them, then you throw it away. Tom Downey says that's why we're still here. Scotty says he watches a lot of car videos, and recently one of my favorite channels promoted a fuel additive in pill form, and I've since stopped watching that channel. MPG Extreme, blah, 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 BS. Yeah, you would think that, I don't know, the 100-mile carburetor. I watch a fair amount of car videos too. In fact, I watch, I watch a lot of car videos too. I enjoy it. But yeah, that kind of stuff will turn me off too. Tom Downey says, or Tim Meyer says, old farts of the world unite. Let's see. All right, trying to. PB Blaster, thanks. Yeah, okay. So I'm way behind in the comments here. Let me see if I can get caught up. Gear wrench, okay, good comment. I've seen gear wrench tools. Scott WPB, yeah. Blaster, Montana Boy. I don't use WD there, guy. I use a silicone spray in a can. Was told that you might damage plastic with WD petroleum. Totally, absolutely correct. And I tend to use more silicone than I do WD-40 myself. Montana Boy. In fact, CRC Silicone or it's the same company that makes PB Blaster. I don't remember the name of it, but I use their silicone all the time. Swear by it. Totally agree with you. But WD-40 does have its use, but I don't use it very much. Kevin Coop, yeah, you need to make sure there's nothing blocking the gate. And that's on the stuck valve for, let's see, was that Easy Travels? Scotty says he's been looking at installing electric tank valves, but not sure that will really solve the issue. No, but I actually helped a guy, disabled fellow. This has been about, well, this is way before I started doing YouTube. And he needed electric valves because he couldn't get down low enough to get to his valves to pull the stems and dump his tanks. And so we put in electric valves for him. It was a huge pain in the butt. But it helped him out because then he could dump his tanks and he wouldn't have to get out and get down on the ground and do all that sort of stuff. All right, George. Okay, George A.K. Dad. For a motorcycle, I have a bracket that attaches to the cable, jack junction, and you squirt the lube in under pressure. The lube actually comes out the other end of the cable. Yeah, totally. That would be interesting. I'd love to see that. Is that a bracket that you bought, George? Or is that something you fabricobbled yourself? Scotty responding to EZ. When his gray tank was not shutting, he purchased a valve for the end of my discharge outlet to keep it from leaking down the road. Yeah, you can get those for sure. Oh, Tim says it was the black and gray tank that helped him find me. It's good to know. Planning on releasing a new update to that right around the 1st of February. George A.K. Dad says he saw a YouTube video of a guy that drilled a small hole in the back of the valve and squirted lube in there on a regular basis. I suppose that'd work. It seems like a lot of work. And the issue is that, like, these guys with the cable valves that have the cables on the valves, it's typically fifth wheels that have those. But that valve is usually buried up underneath. And to get in there and to drill the hole out, I think that might be a bit of a challenge on those valves, but that's a thought. I just would, I would hit mine, I should say silicone really, on my valves. I just spray the stem and then work it in and out, and that usually would keep them working pretty good. Eric Meyer says he's headed to Payette in the spring. Well, that's good to know. Are you a boater or kayaker? Because Payette is like the whitewater headquarters of the world. It's becoming that way really fast over there. You're welcome to. Two Feather says, much thanks for the suggestion. Everything has an end date. Yeah, Gary. I think Tom meant Costco. I speak Tom language. Yeah. I think Tom uses his voice recognition, and I kind of get most of what Tom says. Eric says videos in my email. Okay, cool. Let me just run over here real quick and see what we got. Oh, Happily Ever Hanks. So yeah, on that Happily Ever Hanks was the video that we were chatting about. Thanks, Eric. Kevin Coop says they meet NEC because they are listed. NEC does not spec materials. Correct. Eric says Cobalt on Amazon Bits, $100. Well, I would spend that if I felt like they were good bits. So I'll look into that. I'm with you, Tim. I'd given up on good quality drill bits and just bought a drill doctor. Yeah, I did too. From Wago. Oh, thanks, Robert, for running this down. From Wago. Or Wago. Depending upon the application, such as railway, per EN 61373, or marine, per GL, LG, DNV, there are various testing requirements to determine if the long-term effects of vibrations degrade electrical connections. The test specimen is subject to different loads on 3 axes in an electrodynamic vibration system. The amplitude and acceleration, and in particular the frequency of the vibration, vary during the test. The test values are increased multiple times over the standard values to meet specific customer requirements. Okay, interesting. Is there any? That's from Wago, so that's their specs. Railway EN 61373 is just a spec that IEEE spec that applies to railway and or marine, another spec there. So that's excellent. Thanks, Robert, for running that down. Is there any mention about the time? How long did they test them? Tom Downey says he bought 2 sets of lenses, bifocal for $200. Yeah, this set was bifocal, Tom, and this set's not. This is my computer glasses, and my prescription's quite different for computer versus my reading distance vision. Two Feathers, thank you so much for that super chat. So kind of you. Thanks, John. Have a good night. They weren't twist drills, Tom. They were specific for wood. But they still dulled down. Good night, Gary. Thanks for coming in. Croyle. Yep, Croyle is good, Gary, or Robert Black. Croyle is another penetrating oil. Okay, we're going to wrap this up here shortly because it's getting late. But hey, I've had a blast. I hope you guys have too. Kevin Coop says, a guy in Iowa running a 5-liter Mustang on a 5-horsepower Briggs & Stratton carb on YouTube. Don't remember his channel. Yeah, I saw that video. I also saw a guy running an F-150 with a lawnmower carburetor and getting good mileage, but they can't have any power at all. Yes, Scotty, I have a bottle of 3-in-1 oil sitting in the garage. And yes, they do make 3-in-1 oil. Robert Black says he found me from Black Tank videos as well. Good. B-Pug at a motorcycle shop. Oh, you bought it. Okay, got it. Fat Fingers. Best cleaner I use, WS-40. Ivan Joycey, RV Journey. Hey, we haven't seen you for quite a while. I hope you're doing well. I am doing extremely well, and happy belated to you. WD-40, Tom. WD-40. Oh, you have a friend in Payette that you're going to visit. Sweet. Well, if you get over to the eastern side of the state, be sure and give me a holler, Eric. We'll get together, have lunch, coffee, a beer, whatever you desire. That'd be great. I've enjoyed the RV Journey. He says, I winterized my RV for the first time, and when I put the antifreeze, it started leaking in the backside of the hot water heater. Eek. Do you know what I might have done wrong? Started leaking in the backside of the water heater. Did you bypass your water heater? Typically, there's going to be a bypass on the water heater, because otherwise you're going to have to put 6 or 10 gallons of antifreeze in the water heater, and that's just, you know, I'm not sure, Ivan, Josie. Winterized RV for the first time. When I put the antifreeze, it started leaking in the backside of the hot water heater. Well, how did you put the antifreeze in? I got a couple questions for you. I'll try to get to this one question for you guys. How did you put the antifreeze in? And does the water heater have a bypass? Oh, well, we're finally caught up. Good night, Easy Travels. So thanks for joining us. Thanks, Montana Boy. So nice to have you here. Thanks, Robert Black. Appreciate you coming in. Tim says, yes, Scotty, they make 3-in-1 oil, and I have a killer joke about 3-in-1 and WD-40 that you can't tell here. Contact me on Discord if you want to hear it. All right. Well, this is a great session. Did everybody enjoy it? I hope you did, and I did as well. Again, give me that thumbs up if you did. Appreciate that. Subscribe and like and do all those social things. And unless there's anything else, I'm going to hang here for just a minute and give Ivan Josie RV a chance to answer back of the questions. And thanks, Scotty. Appreciate you, and thank you for your support. George, a.k.a. Dad, water heater leaking, froze connection, water too late. Yeah, that's a good one. That could be a possibility. William Courier, he has a Dematic NDR 1292, and his handle broke and can't find a handle or insert. Any ideas? Thanks, Scott W. That's a massive fish you're holding there, so I'm a little jealous, but thanks, bud. Okay, Ivan Josie, yeah, if you catch me at 7 Mountain, I believe you're on the East Coast, so that would be 9 o'clock your time. I'd be happy to try to help you out. And if you'd like to, during the week, you could send me an email, trbolin@gmail.com. We could discuss it via email, and then we can circle back onto it next week and chat more about it. But I think it's time to call it an evening. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. I sure do appreciate it. And we'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, peace. Bye-bye.